A show duct taped together by broken promises and hopes and dreams. Recorded in the corner of Wade's dirty bathroom. Get ready for WMVT.
Hello, boys and girls, or whatever pronoun you're feeling at the moment. Today, we're going to talk about nose nachos, also known as cocaine. This is my cherry-popping first episode of WMVT, so in the interest of making it to a second episode without getting banned, I have to go through the following disclaimers. Number 1, I do not advocate the use of drugs, alcohol, or prostitution in any way, nor am I here to promote or sell them. Just because some people say they work well together, it's not my fault. Number 2, if you or a family member has a problem with any of these substances, I must advise you to seek help. Resources are available in the description of this episode. Or you can just come to my house, but not saying that would be the brightest of ideas. Number 3, this is not real cocaine. Number 4, if indeed you decide to make the misguided, illegal, reckless, irresponsible decision to take drugs, I have to recommend you spend the $7 on Amazon to get a drug test kit. It may be great to have fun, but if someone's popping up daisies at the end of it, we all go home sad. And lastly, in the likely event YouTube shit cans this particular episode, don't worry. It will probably survive on my IG or Facebook. Now all that is out of the way, I'm going to finish my donut and share with you what I learned from ChatGTP today. Let's start with the basics, shall we? The street price for blow in 2025 here in the United States is $80 a gram, $250 for what would be referred to as an 8-ball, 3.5 grams, and around $30,000 for a kilo. At its source, however, in Colombia, for example, a kilo can go as low as $2,000. Now, before you go down to South America to buy this, trafficking drugs is highly illegal and dangerous, and clearly expensive. So I wouldn't recommend it unless, of course, you like the thought of potentially taking it in the bum for the next 30 years. Side note, I've always wondered why 3.5 grams is called an 8-ball. So apparently it first originated in print in the 1980s, representing 1/8 of an ounce. Should have known that. Also, cocaine has been around for thousands of years. South Americans would chew coca leaves to help them stay awake so they could hunt, deal with high altitudes. I also like to think that they would enjoy the occasional jungle strip club from time to time also. Now, the stuff that you're snorting off nipples today was actually created by a German, Albert Niemann, in 1860. Some people would say, "Thank you, Albert." However, he didn't create it for degenerates. It was intended and used as a local anesthetic. Then somehow it ended up on butts and boobies and dirty bathrooms. It was also an ingredient in Coca-Cola, hence the name, until 1914. I suppose they had to take it out to stop parents from murdering their kids. Between the coke and the caffeine, they were probably annoying the shit out of their parents. Today, cocaine is illegally produced from coca plants, primarily grown in Colombia, Peru, Bolivia. The leaves are harvested, then soaked in gasoline, which doesn't exactly give the warm and fuzzies to anyone that's done a line or two in the past. Oh yeah, sulfuric acid is also involved. So making this shit is dangerous. A lot of these nose nacho makers end up blowing themselves up. And nowadays, these boys are adding fentanyl into the marching powder, which is highly potent and dangerous. Almost like a one-night stand in Africa without a raincoat in the 1980s. You just don't want to do it. So apparently The reason why they've done this is because it's a cheap opioid that increases the high and addictive nature of the drug. Again, if you do drugs, get a test kit, don't die. Now, according to ChatGTP, you shouldn't mix alcohol and cocaine. Mixing the two turns into cocaethylene, which does enhance both substances. However, it's very hard on the ticker. I've thought long and hard as to whether I want to share this story. It's a true story and it has all the elements that pretty much define a degenerate. I'm not proud of what I did, but it does serve as a good case study as to what not to do. I'm going to fiddle with my thingy because it may be hard to look at the camera at some points. A few years ago, I had a heart attack while I was, let's call it, displacing the virginity of a young but legal prostitute. Her name was Mildred, or so she said. She also said she was a virgin, and I had no reason to believe otherwise. I spent all night at some random bar with her, drinking, doing nose nachos, and popping Mexican Viagras, which isn't advisable. The night ended up going longer than expected, so I consumed more than expected. And I kept forgetting how many of these stupid Mexican Viagras I took, so I kept taking them. Because I wanted to do a good job when the time came. Anyway, fast forward to getting back to the hotel, to then tackle the 2-hour-long drug-induced battle to deliver the goodies for little Mildred. Hello. When I finally came close, pun intended, I felt my chest seize up, and at that moment, I had a choice. Do I stop and live or come and die? Well, I went with the latter and ended up in ER, but I lived. Never heard back from Mildred after this, but the $50 I gave her was well spent because she did call me an ambulance, after all. I learned a very important lesson that day, and needless to say, I didn't do that again. So here's the science behind what happened. Cocaine is a stimulant. It raises your heart rate and blood pressure. Alcohol, on the other hand, is a depressant, which can make you feel less aware of how intoxicated you are. Viagra lowers your blood pressure by relaxing blood vessels. Now, when you combine all three, you've got a stimulant, a depressant, and a vasodilator, all pulling your body in different directions. This can lead to freaking out a young prostitute and a trip to the ER. It's no bueno. Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis, was a cokehead. He was one of cocaine's earliest and loudest champions in the medical world. In the early 1880s, he started experimenting with himself and believed it had massive therapeutic potential. He actually wrote a paper in 1884 called Uber Coca, where he praised cocaine for boosting mood and energy, and even helping with digestion. He was probably one of the first to experience a cocaine-driven bowel movement. Anyway, he called it a magical drug. At the time, no one knew how addictive or dangerous it could be, so he was basically treating it like a wonder drug. Now, get this. He even encouraged his best friend Ernest something or other, who was addicted to morphine, to use cocaine to help wean him off it. Well, that backfired badly. Poor Ernest ended up being addicted to both and died a pretty awful death. Freud eventually backed off his public support, but by that time the whole world was hooked. Oops-a-daisy. Pope Leo XIII, head of the Catholic Church from the late 1800s, was a major religious figure and publicly endorsed this drink called Vin Mariani, which was a cocaine drink made by this guy named Angelo Mariotti. The Pope reportedly carried it around with him and even appeared in ads for it. He even awarded it with the Vatican Gold Medal, which was like an official stamp of approval. Adolf Hitler, he was a cokehead, which kind of makes sense. I mean, look at the way he made his soldiers march. Talk about an excessive use of cardio. Elvis Presley had a nacho problem, toward the end of his life, that is, but I didn't see that coming necessarily. Richard Pryor loved the stuff so much that he accidentally set himself on fire with it. Stephen King admitted he was so coked out during the writing of Cujo, he doesn't even remember writing it at all. If you indeed choose to buy the Devil's Dandruff, which I'm not advocating at all, just be careful if you're in a transient city like Las Vegas, for example, where drug dealers are typically selling to tourists who they're probably never going to see again, so repeat business isn't exactly their jam. They don't care if you live or die, so there's definitely going to be a quality control concern. Just get a test kit. Anyway, have fun, enjoy yourselves, and just remember the 2 golden rules. Don't get arrested, and don't die. Cheers.
Wade Martin's video thingy.
Oh, God.
Don't subscribe.
UMBT.